And we're live. Welcome. Fun on Tuesday, April 5th. Thank you very much. Here we go. Taco Tuesday. May you ingest tacos. I'm going to mute a little bit here. Steve DeRocco, what happened in sports history on this day
is the Chris
in
Duel.
1975? Ben-Hur basketball, Steve DeRocco. Somebody missed a baseline jump shot. Here we go.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is a Taco Tuesday. A national champion is crowned. Tiger reportedly looking really good, getting ready for the Masters. Spurs can clinch the play-in tournament tonight. Lots going on. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok is your soundscape stylist and your champion, your soothsayer, your prognosticator, your prophet. And too bad he didn't make a profit on this. He should have bet some money. Shannon, before we congratulate Jeremy, last night it was exciting. Kansas, in a tight one down the stretch, they win the national championship. They beat North Carolina 72-69. And my first thoughts are, suck it, Eric Church. How about you? I'm sorry that for me it had to be all about him, but I am glad Eric Church is not gleeful this morning.
Yeah, I almost, until you said it, I kind of forgot about it. I've been watching celebratory videos all morning. I know yesterday I said, I think Kansas should win because I think they'd play it safer than UNC and Chapel Hill celebrating a championship. I haven't heard of anything bad happening in Lawrence, Kansas this morning. But the videos of like the moment the final whistle blew, the clock hit zero are wild, coming from that main downtown area and all over campus. I'm enjoying watching those and thinking less about Eric Church these days.
You're a bigger person than I am. My first thought was, Eric Church, you dirtbag. You canceled the concert in San Antonio and cost a lot of people a lot of money, and you're giving them a little, concert at whatever it is, Wild Winds RV park or wherever. So you're a bigger person. I do see, by the way, before we congratulate the man among us, let's see, I had Gonzaga. Who did you have, Shannon, to win it all when we began our brackets? Houston, that's right. You had the Houston Cougars. I do see Kevin Monk. A congratulations to Kevin Monk on our live video feed. If I'm reading the results correctly, Kevin Monk, out of 41 entries, might have been 42, Kevin Monk came in third. Jeremy's mom, Gail, came in second. Darn near won the whole thing. In fact, Shannon, I've asked Jeremy to message his mom this morning if she wants to come on and gloat, and we'll congratulate her. If she wants to come on at 8:35 this morning, we would love to talk to her. But it looks like the winner of our bracket challenge is Pat Schmitz. So Kevin Monk, we see you out there on the live video feed this morning. To get in the top three and to pick Kansas correctly is huge. Congratulations to Gail, Jeremy's mom, and Pat Schmitz. But Jeremy Kolok, sir, we've always respected your basketball knowledge, your sports insights, but your stock has risen even higher this morning, as it ain't easy to pick the overall champion at the beginning of the tournament when everybody's filling out their bracket, but you, sir, have done it. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I didn't see it going this way when the tournament started because I wasn't looking too hot in the first round or in the second round really either. But Yeah, shout out to my mom. Shout out to Gail because that is just incredible. What this her performance this March and going into April this year, just incredible. And I'll have to ask her for advice. I've texted her to see if she's available today, and we'll see how that turns out. I know she's got stuff going on from
Yeah.
time to time, but I just my only advice, obviously she could give better advice than I could, but my only advice is to pick the team from the best conference, which of course is
Ooh.
the Big 12, as the
Yes.
Big 12 goes back to back, best league in America, but not just back to back, Chris and Shannon. They've gotten to 3 of the past well, all 3 of the past championship game. But the weird thing is you remember in 2020, we had to cancel the tournament, right? So, obviously last year Baylor wins, Big 12 champion. This year Kansas wins, Big 12 champion. The year before that, when we had to cancel the tournament, if you remember, Kansas was the number 1 overall seed. And then the year before that, Texas Tech probably got
Mhm.
they probably got hosed a little bit, but, they were right there too. So, I just wanted, as you know, a loyal Big 12 supporter, longtime Big 12 loyalist. I don't wanna hear any more ACC stuff in the Big 12
Exactly.
and as far as, men's basketball goes because the Big 12 is the conference to beat. It is the best conference in men's basketball, and it has been proven multiple years now, not just 1 year.
You're right. And 2 years in a row now. That's a huge point. By the way, Kevin Monk writes on the live video feed. He came in third. He wrote, I cheated off Jeremy's mom, which is a great comment. Shannon, Jeremy makes a great point. The Big 12. I don't, you hear ACC, all these East Coast blue bloods, obviously Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Gonzaga is, although they've not yet broken through and won the darn thing. So I think now Gonzaga is getting more questions than they've ever gotten before. Are they, because of the conference they're in, are they just not battle tested enough? Clearly, Big 12 schools go through a gauntlet of battles to get through the season, to get through the Big 12 schedule, and then move into the tournament. Do you think, obviously, we're biased? You're a Big 12 person, as is Jeremy. I'm a Big 12 fan, even though I'm a Pac 12 USC guy by school. Do you think the rest of the country understands and gives the Big 12 the credit it deserves in college basketball?
I don't think so. I think they'll continue to look down on them, and especially once Texas and Oklahoma move, right? Because I think when you think Big 12 as far as an organization, and the schools that come up first are always going to be those two. And so once they move, I think people will kind of not give them the benefit of the doubt even more. And I don't want this to be like an A&M thing, right, where it's like we're somehow claiming a championship. That's not what we're doing here as Big 12 loyalists. That's not we're just proving the point that our teams as you say, go through the gauntlet during the regular season. And so they should deserve they deserve a little bit more respect when coming into the tournament, and everyone's picking of their brackets. Jeremy mentioned that 2020 season. I mean, that this was like, I don't know that you could write a better. I know we like the Cinderella stories, but 2020 was going to be the Jayhawks year. It was going to be Bill Self's year. It was going to be year of the Jayhawks, and then the world flipped on its head and they never got that opportunity. So for them to kind of get to rewrite that story here and ultimately win it all is a beautiful thing. So congratulations to the Jayhawks. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, go KU.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk, go KU.
A cheer I
Nice.
learned at Kansas engineering camp one summer.
My goodness. Wow. Bringing the
I know.
Kansas engineering camp
I know.
chant the morning after the Jayhawks national championship. And by the way, if you didn't know, most people do, it was a historic record-setting win last night. Not only was Kansas down by 15 at the half, they were down at one point by 16 points. That is the greatest comeback, the largest deficit overcome in national championship history. They beat the record of 15, a deficit of 15 by Loyola of Chicago back in 1963. I imagine Sister Jean was probably in her 40s back then. I will have to Google that. But Loyola of Chicago took on Cincinnati in 1963 and was 15 down, came from a 15-point deficit. Last night, Kansas came back from a 16-point deficit to set the record. And oh, by the way, another big deficit in 1998, Kentucky was down 12 points to Utah, which compared to the 16 or the 15 doesn't sound as bad. But Kentucky came back from a 12-point deficit to win the national championship in 1998. So with 2:23 left in the first half, Kansas was down 38-22, down 16, and came back to win. So Shannon, in the future, if the Longhorns and Chris Beard are ever in the final, or Jeremy, if your beloved Oklahoma State Cowboys, or if Armageddon comes and my USC Trojans, never going to happen, are in the national championship game, if you're ever down by 16, you just say, hey man, Kansas came back from 16 down. It can be done. It's possible. So that was kind of a cool little additional subplot to the game, the big historic comeback that Kansas pulled off.
Yeah, and we do have some audio from one Mr. Bill Self post game. Of course, he was asked about what the message was at halftime for them to come out swinging to win it all in the second half.
Good job, Coach. Everybody wants to know, what did you say to this team at halftime when you were down 15?
I really didn't say much. We were disappointed in how we played the first half. Carolina was obviously the much better team, but this team has been down before. And I told them at halftime, would you rather be down 15 with 20 left or down 9 with 2 left? Because that was obviously what happened in 2008. And they all said, let's take 15. So we played off of that.
Nice.
Throwback.
Bill Self. Yeah. Bill Self, you got to start now. I mean, that's a big win for Bill Self. He's obviously been a big name in coaching. That is his second national championship. He's been to 4 Final Fours. He's been to 9 Big 12 tournaments. I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now. Started off as an assistant at Kansas. His playing career, Jeremy will be proud, was at Oklahoma State. But we talk about the Coach K's and the Caliparis and the Roy Williamses of the world. Bill Self adding to his resume. He's 59 years old. You got to believe he's probably got maybe another 10 years in the game. I've even heard Bill Self's name rumored as a possible Spurs head coach down the line as a successor to Greg Popovich. He's got a relationship with R.C. Buford and some people in the Spurs organization. So Bill Self, big win for that guy, Shannon.
Yeah, and you're right. He for a while now, he's kind of been linked to that Spurs potential opening at some point in the future. And his son, for a time, was coaching the Austin. Do they go by the Toros still? The Austin
Toros at one time.
The Austin Toros, the Austin Spurs G League. And so there was that natural connection as well. And it's interesting, you bring up his name. Kind of is he in the ranks of the Roy Williams and the Coach K's? If he leaves college, does that go away? Right? Does that kind of ruin? Do we then look at his career as a whole rather than just what he does in college basketball? But you mentioned four Final Four appearances and now 2 championships. That's Tom Brady numbers, right? That's 50% of the time big. You make it there. You're gonna see it through and wind up with a championship at the end of the day. So that's pretty incredible stuff. And happy for them, happy for the Jayhawks. As I said, I nearly went there. I had a room on campus. I had put a down payment on a dorm room.
Wow. Wow.
Ultimately did not go, but my little tiny piece of my heart is always with the Jayhawks there.
See, I have a similar story at Texas. I was accepted at Texas. I had a dorm at Dobie Hall on the campus. In 1979, I was ready to go, and then I got an appointment to the Air Force Academy and wound up going there for a couple of years on the way to USC instead. So yeah, that's when that happens, you've got a special place in your heart for a university like that. Given Bill Self's connection, and he is an alumnus of Oklahoma State, got to ask Jeremy Kolok, a big Oklahoma State dude, your thoughts on Bill Self. Do you consider him one of your own because he went to Oklahoma State, or is he a traitor because he is now a foe of Oklahoma State in the Big 12?
We would certainly prefer it if he would come home and coach the Cowboys one day, but we understand the situation, I guess. We like Bill Self. He's a good dude. I got to shake his hand once after OSU played Kansas while I was covering the team. And first of all, there's nothing like Fog Allen Fieldhouse. I mean, there's nothing like it, at least that I've been to. What an incredible atmosphere and setting for basketball. And Bill Self was very nice to me, shook my hand, and said something very polite and non-memorable. And yeah, I'm a Bill Self supporter. There's a lot of people saying that there's going to be something coming down on the Kansas men's basketball program, something soon. I'm not buying into that. It's just something I'm keeping like in the back of my mind, like, well, just in case that comes down. But I certainly think this was well deserved, and I like seeing Bill Self succeed. Can I just give a shout out to the legendary Bill Raftery for what I believe was the line of the evening. Of course, it was a pretty late game, an 8:00 p.m. Start, or more like 8:20 Central Time for us. And in the second half, the Jayhawks had I think their point guard by the name of Remy Martin hit a corner three, which he was on fire in the second half, by the way. And the great Bill Raftery pauses for a moment and he says, "There's nothing like a little Remy late in the evening." And
Nice.
Just wanted to give a shout out to Bill Raftery. But we've got to start this game earlier, in my opinion. I mean, we didn't have one shining moment go over the air until like 11:15 p.m. our
Whoa.
time, which is past midnight Eastern time. I mean, we've got to start this game earlier next year.
8:20 is a little crazy. And you know, you and I and Shannon, we're all sensitive to that because we get up so early for this show. But I mean, 7:20 would have made more sense to me, Shannon, than 8:20.
Yeah.
8:20 is at 9:20 on the East Coast. That is crazy.
If they can do it for the Super Bowl and start the Super Bowl at 5:30 every year Central Time, let's get to it. Because I was seeing, like, you know, people who have similar jobs as us, you know, they work in sports, who are on the East Coast, who are like, I'm not going to make it to halftime, right? They were just being honest. And I agree. I mean, I sat down to dinner last night at 6:00, and we were like, or someone asked, "Are we going to watch the game tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it doesn't start right now." Like they were expecting, you know, on the TV already with pregame coverage and whatever. I'm like, we have a couple hours left until things get started.
Yeah, the Super Bowl example is spot on. They need to work on that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. There's so much going on in the world of sports. Tiger Woods apparently looking great in a practice round yesterday at Augusta. We'll dive into that. Spurs have an opportunity to clinch a play-in spot tonight if they win and the Lakers lose. And oh, by the way, the Lakers are at Phoenix. So that could happen, but the Spurs at Denver, that'll be a tall task. Coming up, a high five play of the day. A little bit later, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. And on a day where there's a lot of basketball to talk about, basketball savant KARL SCHOENING, our good friend, going to join us just after 8:00. We're with you till 9. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok makes the whole show go. Taking it easy with the Eagles on the Chris Duel Show. All right. Yeah, Neo Wick Bogart says he gets up at 4. I usually get up at 3:30. This week, I'm doing WOAI's morning news. So I got up at 2:45 this morning. So, yeah, fun. Let me say good morning to everybody. Steve Duraco, good morning. The original Rock. Tracy Bogart, Kevin Monk, third place in our bracket. Very impressive. 3rd out of 41. Pretty amazing. Luisa Alanis. Welcome, Luisa. A big congratulations to Kansas. Dennis LaRue Jr., who is an amazing guy, an Air Force veteran, and now a businessman, an entrepreneur, and a life coach. Go Go check out Dennis on Facebook and get to know him. He's a tremendous guy, as is Robert Browning in Japan this morning. Back home for Tokyo Taco Tuesday. Very nice, Robert. Hector Gomez, welcome in. Let me see if my coffee is still warm enough. Oh. Coffee time. All right. What else is going on in the world? Steve Duraco, what happened 47 years ago was the greatest basketball game ever played. At least the greatest basketball ever played on Ben-Hur. Let's see. What else is going on out there? Coming up, the high five play of the day. Here we come.
Join in by dialing 1-707-9760.
Welcome in on a Taco Tuesday. March Madness comes to an end last night as the Kansas Jayhawks take down North Carolina 72-69. They set a record. It was the biggest comeback in national championship history. They come back from 16 down at one point late in the first half. They were down 15 at the half and wind up winning it 72-69. The Chris Duel show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Basketball Savant broadcaster, certified yoga instructor. We don't say that enough. KARL SCHOENING going to join us. Always great to talk hoops. We'll talk not only college hoops and the national championship with KARL, we'll talk NBA as well as tonight, the San Antonio Spurs at Denver. If they win and the Lakers lose at Phoenix, the Spurs would clinch a play-in berth because their magic number is 2. And oh, by the way, they're just a game behind the New Orleans Pelicans, who are at Sacramento tonight. Old teams with 4 games left to play. So the meaning, if the Spurs could get that number 9 slot in the Western Conference, they could have a home game versus the Pelicans in the play-in tournament, which would be beautiful. Before the high five play of the day, just to remind you a bunch of ways you can get in touch with the show. We have a live video feed. You can access it through Facebook Live, through Twitter, through YouTube. Lots of people joining us on the live video feed. You can interact with us and others in real time. And speaking of interacting with us, you go to that free iHeartRadio app where you can hear us crystal clear around the world. Now, a new feature, there's a microphone button right at the bottom of the iHeartRadio app. So when you listen to us via AM 1300 The Zone or Ticket 760, you can press that microphone button, leave us a message, anything you want to do, a shout out, a comment, a criticism, a hot tip, a prediction, anything on your mind, leave us a message. We'll get it instantly. We will play it on the air, which is all kinds of fun. So there is that. So join us on the iHeartRadio app, on Facebook Live. And, oh, yeah, we take phone calls as well. If you ever want to dial us up and talk sports or talk about what we're talking about or what's on your mind, phone number 800-707-9760, 800-707-9760. But right now, it is time to give out a high five because it's the right thing to do. We do it every morning at this time. We call it the high five play of the day. It is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. And while Jeremy is our champion among the 3 of us, he picked Kansas. Shannon is our most knowledgeable High Five veteran. She goes out there a lot. Shannon, tell the people about High Five.
Well, it's $2 Tuesday at both High Five locations. Out at Lakeway, you'll get $2 laser tag and $2 bowling games. At the Anderson Lane location, $2 bowling games and half off pool and darts. And don't forget, Anderson Lane location now offering trivia on Tuesday nights. That kicks off at 7 o'clock, so make sure you get there. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself something nice to eat for dinner, and enjoy that trivia experience. It's something that I certainly enjoy from time to time. Today's high five goes to a guy who probably needs one and a hug because he's not feeling well. But instead of the response that I think we would typically get from maybe a guy like a James Harden, who blames, who's kind of a finger pointer, a blamer, this guy is taking responsibility. He's showing a ton of heart. As Chris, when we were discussing our high five this morning, you used the words being transparent, authentic, and accountable. We're discussing one, DeJounte Murray. Of course, the Spurs play the Denver Nuggets tonight. But last evening, 5:02 p.m., DeJounte Murray tweets, "I randomly got sick and it sucks. It happened at this time, crucial time, while me and the team are rolling. I lost 7 to 8 pounds and been feeling awful and doing everything to get healthy first, then working out to get ready to help the team get in this play-in and fight for the playoffs." So at the end of the season, when this team, again, fighting for a play-in spot and to potentially make a run in the playoffs, their best player, their all-star, goes down with an illness. 7 to 8 pounds is a lot to lose, especially when you are an elite athlete, and that's probably muscle mass, right? That's probably a lot of water that he's losing as well. So for him to come out and openly, like Chris said, be transparent about what's going on and let people know that he's doing what he can. He doesn't want to, you can tell that he doesn't want to disappoint Spurs Nation and the team, because he knows his place. He is the all-star. He is the center of that team and that squad. And I look at this more as, again, for the future of the Spurs. They're still in rebuild mode. There's still, a bunch of young guys on that team. But this is a guy that you can rally around, whether he's healthy or not. And so this just makes me proud to be associated a little bit with the Spurs, right? Because I am a Mavericks fan at heart. But I can get behind a guy like DeJounte Murray, and hopefully he gets to feeling better soon so he can get back out on the court with his team and just feeling better. I'm not a good sick person. I don't like being sick. You don't want to be around me when I'm sick. I don't know what he's like, but I know that during this stretch, as he said, a crucial time in the season for him and his team, I know it can't be a good feeling for him.
He amazes me, Shannon, and I brought this up to Bill Schoening when we had him on last week. And by the way, Bill will join us tomorrow morning at 8:05 to talk Spurs. But I don't know if Spurs fans fully realize how amazing DeJounte Murray is. I think they all know, he's great. He's made the All-Star team this year. But, in a long line in the modern day, post-Gervin, you think of David Robinson, Sean Elliott, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard. This guy, DeJounte Murray, is up there, and he's got a fire to win. He's accountable. He's a leader. He's the leader of this team. He not only inherited it when the Spurs, let DeMar DeRozan go and LaMarcus Aldridge and Rudy Gay and those guys. 2 years ago, DeJounte Murray, with all those guys on the team, said, I want to be the leader of this team as a very young guy. He has a fire. He's real. I heard him say within the last couple of weeks, he said, San Antonio, the Spurs believed in me when not a lot of people believed in me. And he said, and so because of that, I am loyal to San Antonio and this staff and this franchise. He just, in an era where so many athletes are all about them and all about ego, DeJounte Murray is all about team and all about commitment and all about being the best that he can be. And Shannon, I always go back to this because I thought it was so telling. A number of years ago, Bill Schoening in a pregame show had an interview with PJ Carlissimo, who, among other things, was a longtime assistant in San Antonio under Greg Popovich. And he said the first question they ask the Spurs, Pop, R.C. Buford, Brian Wright, the Brain Trust, if they're going to bring a guy in, is he a Spur? And we all know what that means. Can he get over himself? Is he more about the team than about himself, than about his ego, than about his stats, than about his bling? And DeJounte Murray is the real deal. And another thing, Shannon, DeJounte Murray said this season, he said, this is going to turn around. The Spurs have been sub 500. They've lost a lot of close games this year. And he said, there will be a day soon when it turns around and we start winning. And you know what? The Spurs have won 6 out of 7 and 7 out of their last 9. That day may have already come. So it's got to, you can tell by that tweet, Shannon, that you read, it pains him to not be with this team right now at this moment as it makes a push to get the play-in berth, which could happen tonight if everything goes their way. The magic number is 2. Combination Spurs wins, Lakers losses with 4 games to play. But I hope Spurs fans realize what they have in DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, they've got a good one. Someone, Frank Valdez says, DJ's a damn good role model and girl dad. So just all around a great human.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we pulled up his tweet, which is where that message was originally sent, and he is verified, but he has 180,000 followers, which to me just seems like not a lot for a guy of his stature in the NBA. So out of curiosity, went over to his Instagram to check those numbers. He's at 881,000, which that's a little bit better. I know a lot of people are more Instagram inclined, but as far as messages and athletes, right? We got this message via Twitter. If you go to his Instagram, he's kind of posted a picture of, I guess, what is his very nice black granite marble looking countertop, where he talks about being sick, not a lot of fun that he's having over there. But I just find that interesting. He's certainly a guy you feel like, I think, for Spurs Nation, you're getting in on the ground. You're gonna look back one day and be like, I remember when, because he is on the come up.
Yeah, he's officially on the Spurs injury report. He's been listed with an upper respiratory issue. But, as he mentions, my God, losing 7 to 8 pounds during this. Jeremy Kolok, want to get your thoughts on DeJounte Murray. Do you agree? And maybe I'm just cynical, and maybe I just read the tweets of Spurs fans who are just kind of angry and don't fully get it. But do you think Spurs fans fully appreciate what they've got in DeJounte Murray? And as Shannon mentions, most NBA stars have followers in the millions, and DeJounte doesn't. So not only do Spurs fans not fully get it yet, it looks like the rest of the NBA fans don't get it either.
Yeah, I absolutely don't think he receives the recognition he should get. I think we do love him here, but it is such a tough comparison when for 2 decades you have Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, and before that, David Robinson getting this team deep in the playoffs consistently, and then obviously winning 5 championships. It's a tough comparison, and we all know we're spoiled as a city. We know that. I think we could admit that and recognize that. But at the same time, I wish that DeJounte Murray kind of got the love that he deserves, because he's one of a kind. I mean, he is so unique of an off the court personality, and he has a maturity that it fits so perfectly with the Spurs. But on the court too, he is so unique. He is so unique in the way he plays and the way he can impact the game with the ball and without the ball. And I love y'all giving the high five to DeJounte today. Hopefully he gets better soon so we can see him on the court sooner rather than later. But I can't help but notice when you put his tweet up here, I couldn't help but notice that all of his words are capitalized. And I don't want to knock him for that, because it doesn't bother me at all to read it. But I'm just more curious, like confused by, like, is that a setting on his phone to where every word is automatically capitalized, or is he doing that?
That's his. I'm scrolling through his tweets. That's the way he does his tweets. Every word is capitalized. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, that is. It's interesting how he does that. Now I see some other tweets further down. It's weird. Yeah.
If there's other people who do that, I just want you to comment or something and tell us how is that. I just want to know, is that a setting on your phone that you have to set, or is he going in and manually, capitalizing every word in every tweet he's put? Does he do that in text too?
It's a great question.
Someone speak up who does this.
Yeah. Now it's not all caps. He's just capitalizing each word. I know some people, they see all caps and they flip out. Why are you screaming at me? So no, he's not doing that. So Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, the Spurs could do it tonight. And again, though, the Spurs 4 games left. Same with the Lakers and the Pelicans. But without DeJounte Murray, and at Denver tonight, at Minnesota later in the week, it ain't going to be easy. We'll see how they do tonight.
I feel pretty good about their chances. I think they've played the Nuggets pretty well so far this season. Now that we're on the Spurs, though, I do want to bring this up, and I wish radio you could see us all the time, because there's apparently an all-star that has been attending Spurs games, and she can lip sync like no other. She's gone viral. If you just Google Spurs today, she is what pops up. This woman who was lip syncing Kelly Clarkson's "Since You Be Gone" at the last home game, AT&T Center, is taking the world by storm. So if you have a moment today, go check that out, because it's pretty fantastic.
That did get a lot of run yesterday. I saw that every time I opened up Twitter or social media. I saw that yesterday. You're right. Go check that out. We got a lot more to cover. Let's get into the National Football League as well. Very interesting trade between the Eagles and the Saints yesterday. Some people calling it a blockbuster trade. It's like a head scratcher for me. We'll walk you through that and a whole lot more. Shannon, Salty Shakedown coming up as well. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Good morning, Beth Settle. Welcome in. Nicole, welcome. Nicole joins us on Spurs React quite a bit. Yeah, the Spurs could really use him. The good news is, the Lakers have lost 6 in a row. The Lakers look like they're in a free fall. The magic number is 2. Even if the Spurs lost out, and I don't think that's going to happen, I think the Spurs are going to win a number of these final 4 games, even without DeJounte. But the Lakers would have to go 3-1 in their final 4 to keep the Spurs from getting into the play-in. Lakers are at Phoenix tonight, at Golden State, home against Oklahoma City. Okay, they'll probably win that one. And then at Denver. I don't have confidence at all in the Lakers to go 3-1 when they haven't won 2 in a row since January. So based on that alone, I think the Spurs are going to be fine. Again, though, if they can get the win tonight at Denver, then they will. They have a chance. If the Lakers lose at Phoenix, which they should, the Spurs could have the clinch the play-in berth tonight, which would be nice. All right, I'm going to heat my coffee. Give you some Jeremy Kolok. NIOSA begins tonight, San Antonio people. That's right, NIOSA, not NIOSA. Thank you. Don't get me started. Don't you rile me with your NIOSA talk. NIOSA is correct. NIOSA is incorrect and anti-American. I'm just saying. Top of the hour. Let's see here. Rob Gronkowski still undecided on his future in football, according to TMZ. The lip syncing woman is Brianna Saldana. I got the TMZ link to Brianna Saldana. I'm going to post that here in the comments. See, and I'll talk to Shannon about that. And Jared, my first thought, I saw that video, and I know that NBA teams stage some of these moments on the Jumbotron. But in this TMZ story, it's saying that, you know, people are swearing that it was not staged. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, Jason Garcia, if you're in here, I heard the Ben Mallard rant saying that Manu Ginobili was not deserving. Just totally showed his ignorance. I'm disappointed that he's on the network that airs before we do. So yeah, Manuel Gonzalez about that viral video. Heard her say she went straight from work to the AT&T Center, so she had to buy clothes at the Spurs shop. So, and again, and I hope I'm wrong, and I'm going to assume that I'm wrong. It looked like one of those staged videos you see NBA teams do. But according to TMZ's reporting, it was not staged. So I will assume that's correct. Here we come, 7 o'clock hour. $7:05. Here we go. Woo! Woo, 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 woo. Woo! Woo! I'm going to mute momentarily for our evil Facebook overlords who would love to knock this video off the air for their false claim that we don't have rights to the music.
Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Now, Chris Duel.
It is Tuesday. It is a Taco Tuesday. We have a national champion in college basketball, in men's college basketball. We already had one in women's college basketball the night before. That was South Carolina. But last night, much to the dismay of Eric Church, the Kansas Jayhawks come from 16 down, a record deficit erasure by the Kansas Jayhawks in a national championship game. They beat North Carolina 72-69. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape Stylist. Lots of ways for you to get involved with the show. You can join us on the live video feed. You can access that through Facebook Live via Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook pages, or those Twitter pages for both of those radio stations. You can get there through YouTube. You can dial us up on the phone lines, 800-707-9760. You can listen in on the free iHeartRadio app, which is always crystal clear and has a new feature where you can instantly talk back to us, message us. There's a little microphone button on the bottom of the screen there on the iHeartRadio app. We get the message instantly. We play it on the air. It's a beautiful thing. Coming up a little bit later in this hour, just after 7:30, Shannon's Salty Shakedown for a Taco Tuesday, sports history and sports birthdays. And with so much basketball going on, last night's national championship game and all the NBA action down the stretch, KARL SCHOENING, our resident basketball savant, going to talk a lot of hoops with us in less than an hour at the top of the hour. Now, Shannon, you brought this up just a few minutes ago, and I did see the video yesterday, and my first thought was, you're talking about the viral video of the Spurs fan, a young lady who lip syncs a Kelly Clarkson song, which is Since You've Been Gone. We now learn that young woman's name is Brianna Saldana. She's 27 years old. And my first thought, Shannon, because we've seen NBA teams stage some of these Jumbotron moments before where they have like an usher, helping out like a paying customer, and then all of a sudden music starts and the usher will start doing this dance, and he's actually a choreographer or a dancer, and it's been rehearsed and it's usually very, very funny, but it's usually staged. So to be honest with you, when I saw this yesterday all over my social media, my first thought was, oh, that's adorable, but she's a performer and maybe she's even on the Spurs Spirit squad and the whole thing is staged. I'm reading TMZ's reporting today, and even if it was staged, it's gone viral, so mission accomplished. But TMZ is reporting, and I'll read part of their story at TMZ.com and at TMZsports.com. Quote, "We know what you're thinking, but everyone affiliated with the viral moment swears up and down that this was not a staged act, and it just so happened to come out better than anyone could have hoped." And it says, no word yet if Kelly Clarkson has gotten to check out the clip, but it's only a matter of time. So kudos to Brianna Saldana, who is the lip syncer from the AT&T Center at a Spurs game in that clip. So Shannon, and you've had some conspiracy theories, like on the Will Smith slap of Chris Rock. You thought maybe that was staged. Any doubt in your mind that this was a setup?
I don't think so, because we're so used to seeing people get put on camera for those kind of things and have no reaction or just not know what to do. And she was clearly ready for the moment. Now, I would not have reacted that way. If I would typically charge people and call it a concert for me to do something like that. But I get such secondhand embarrassment from anything Jumbotron related. And I know a lot of people, they do go to games and they're like, I'm going to wave and scream like crazy. My goal for this game is to be on the Jumbotron, even if it's only for a second. And then, they like the kiss cam and, they have the lip sync stuff. And some teams have gotten pretty creative with the type of games they play with the audiences during commercial timeouts or whatever it may be. But sometimes you're like, this is just awkward for everybody involved, even when you do have some sort of like game attendant assisting if it's a trivia game or something. So for her to go all out like that for that arena, I mean, she needs to be a part of something in the future that maybe is staged. Maybe they say, hey, you're back, we're gonna go to you, what song do you want tonight? But I don't think that one was staged. I just think she was in the moment. I love that she used the props she had available. She used her cup with the straw sticking out as her microphone. A gentleman who I would assume was she came with during the Kelly Clarkson "It's Since You've Been Gone," right? So that is a song with a message. And she clearly gives that message to the man that she's with and is holding on to him. I mean, it was a full-on performance. And I know like lip syncing has become a thing in part thanks to, I think it's Jimmy Fallon who does the lip sync battles on his Tonight Show. And I think they've even created a show that's just lip syncing now with like B-list celebrities. So for her to really show them how it's done, a round of applause. I mean, congratulations. What a gal.
Yeah. And I mean, you think about Kelly Clarkson, who is a Texan. It would be a really cool move. And I think because this video has gone viral, if a follow-up to this, if Kelly Clarkson sees this viral video of Brianna Saldana lip syncing at a Spurs game on the Jumbotron, if Kelly Clarkson then flies her to a concert and then has her come up on stage with her to sing that song, that would be a very, very cool moment to kind of add to this. And I think a lot of people would probably enjoy that. So I think it would be, not only would it be an incredible outcome for Brianna Saldana, the young woman, but for Kelly Clarkson, probably a good move as well. It would probably go viral again with her.
Well, and we all know that Kelly Clarkson's name is now officially like Kelly Brianna or something. Like legally, legally she had to change her last name in part of like her divorce proceedings. Stage name wise, she's still going Kelly Clarkson. Obviously, all of the songs in her show with that title would be hard to change. But if you ever hear her referred to as something else, just know that is legally correct. But yeah, I don't know. I
didn't know that.
I know Kelly's doing like the Euro version of America, like something on NBC right now. So I'm looking at her socials. That's all she's currently tweeting about. But hopefully, she'll go on tour or something. And this is now something we all need to see.
All right, Jeremy, just got to check with you. Have you seen the video, the viral video of the woman lip syncing Kelly Clarkson at a Spurs game on the Jumbotron? Again, yesterday when I saw it, I go, the NBA does that. That's staged. It's cute, but it's staged. I was cynical. How about you? Any doubt in your mind that it's real and it just happened spontaneously?
I am right there with you, Chris. I don't mean to be that guy, but I thought the same thing as you, because you're right. You see these videos all the time, and it just seemed a little too perfect. The whole thing, the way that she's wearing a Spurs logo right on her
Fiesta colors, the latest merchandise.
Yeah, it just seemed a little too perfect. But I didn't want to be that guy until you brought it up.
Yeah, until I became that guy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback on you.
Okay, you say it's too perfect, and you can't call it crazy that she's wearing Spurs garb at a San Antonio Spurs game.
But I want to point this out, and I don't know if this is accurate, Shannon. Manuel Gonzalez writes he heard she went straight to work to the AT&T Center, and she had to buy her clothes at the Spurs fan shop. So she's wearing the latest Spurs fan shop Fiesta colors, woman's, Spurs shirt.
Yeah.
Which, when I used to work for the Spurs and used to do, I was an in-arena host on the Jumbotron, they would always put me in the latest apparel that is available at the fan shop, which is, because you want to pimp that merchandise. So I'm just, anyway, I'm just, Jeremy may be onto something there.
My point is looking, she's 27. So around my age, Since You've Been Gone came out in 2007. So she would have been like 5th, 6th grade at the time. And
Okay.
I know in my middle school years when that song came out, we sang that song all the time, locker room, around
Okay.
basketball. So I feel like any female who listened to the radio at some point during that time, like that's just a song by heart. So it's easy to like just be in it and do all of the other stuff that she did performance wise to really create that convincing performance that has you believing that maybe, just maybe, this was all set up.
Yeah. Well, and again, if it wasn't what Jeremy said, I agree with it. It seems too perfect and too choreographed. So if it's not, and by all accounts now, and I mentioned the TMZ.com reporting that says everybody squares up and down, it's legit and it was spontaneous, then mega kudos to Brianna Saldana for an incredible performance. But Shannon, if it leaks out that it was staged, then Jeremy and I will come back and wag a finger at Brianna. So hopefully it wasn't. In any event, staged or not, and most people believe it was not. And I'm sorry, I'm that guy. Get off my lawn. But either way, mission accomplished. It's viral. It's huge. It's national and global. So one way, no matter what, she nailed it, and it's spectacular. All right, Shannon, so much to talk about. Not only the national championship, Kansas's big win over North Carolina last night, and we talked about it extensively in the first hour, and I'm sure we'll get back to it. In fact, less than an hour from now, our basketball savant, good friend KARL SCHOENING, is going to talk hoops with us. But I do want to bring this up. I mean, and by the way, this will kind of lead us into the poll question, which I'll have you walk us through, Shannon. Now that the national championship is over, two big things this week. Opening day for Major League Baseball. You're going to go tonight to Round Rock. It's opening night tonight for the Round Rock Express. And then we've got the Masters coming up later this week at Augusta National Golf Course. Tiger Woods on the course yesterday practicing, and Fred Couples and others were watching him, and they used terms like phenomenal. Fred Couples said, quote, "He looked phenomenal. What impressed me the most is he was just bombing it." He said, I know he hit it long and he was great. So Shannon, Tiger Woods, who has always amazed us, and some people have said, well, even if he plays, it's going to just be symbolic just so that he can get out there. He's not going to make the cut. I heard some caller into the Dan Patrick show yesterday when I was driving home after our show, calling in to Dan Patrick, and Dan Patrick does the best and worst of the weekend. And he said the worst of the weekend is Tiger Woods going to Augusta. He said, I can't wait until he doesn't make the cut so the more deserving golfers can get the focus. And I'm like, really? That's your perspective on that, sir? Caller into the Dan Patrick show. So I mean, I don't think Fred Couples has any reason to BS us. Tiger Woods looking good yesterday. I would love it, Shannon, if he plays, first of all, and secondly, if he makes some noise and plays well. The Tiger Woods has astounded us for years and years and years, and he may astound us once again in just a few days.
Yeah, and the narrative, like the idea that it'd be astounding if he plays, considering what he went through. But you almost, I feel like it's not even part of the conversation. The conversation is more of, if he plays, what are his chances of winning, and will he win? And like you said, all the attention. I mean, yesterday, his practice round, you would have thought he was standing on the 18th hole on Sunday at the Masters with all of the attention that, I mean, he just is a guy who people want to see, whether he's playing at his greatest or he's, just trying to play his way back into things. It'll be interesting to talk to Andy on Thursday. By the way, we're going to make Masters picks, so y'all be thinking of we got a Masters draft coming up. We got to get Andy in on that, because it's one thing for the three of us to do it and then have a winner, but if we have Andy in there, then someone gets bragging rights if we beat Andy. But like you said, March Madness officially over. We've got our poll question today. Twitter, AM13 on the Zone, ticket 760. What sport are you most excited about in April? 27% currently saying that NBA stretch run as the regular season soon comes to an end and the playoffs begin. 63% saying the Masters, that is this weekend. I love nothing more than doing absolutely nothing on a Masters Sunday, but watching the Masters and laying down on the couch. And then 9% saying MLB opening weekend. No one's saying other, so I guess no one's offended that we didn't include hockey on our poll question today because their season is in fact still going on. But I myself, I'm all about the Masters this week. Once that's over, then I can turn my focuses to other things like the NBA playoffs and all those 162 games of the MLB season.
Well, and as we didn't include hockey, I'm also, what we could have put on there and it might have won the NFL draft in April.
True. NFL always wins.
Yeah, Masters, huge. Major League Baseball, huge. Hockey's big. But if we would have put, I'm just waiting for the NFL draft. We just love the National Football League. Now, Jeremy Kolok, you sent us a little message moments ago that while we get all excited about Tiger and the Masters coming later this week, apparently the weather forecast might be a little iffy. What do you know about that?
Yeah, I'm officially on an Augusta, Georgia weather watch for at least the next few days because things are not looking good, at least today, at least right now as we're looking into the forecast, because they're going to get hit with some heavy showers, not only today, but also tomorrow.
Ooh.
And I'm just thinking about how that's going to impact the course because they're hoping it's going to be dry by Thursday and then moving into the weekend. But they're under a severe thunderstorm watch today. So they're going to get heavy rain. And I'm just looking at it because, Chris, Shannon, I am all in on this Masters with Tiger possibly coming back. Obviously, not officially official, but I'm all in. This is one of the greatest feats in sports history, in my opinion, if he's able to just walk the course and play the tournament. And I don't want any external factor to present itself here, to even present a possibility to get in the way of Tiger Woods making sports history, doing something that is beyond unprecedented to me.
I love it. And Shannon, Jeremy, not only our soundscape stylist, I think we now have to add chief meteorologist. He is now the show's chief meteorologist. So he is soundscape stylist and chief meteorologist of the show. That was a very good Augusta weather forecast, I thought.
Yeah. For anyone who thinks that radio is just coming and turning on microphones and talking, it's so much more than that. And Jeremy is the proof. There's a lot of research and due diligence that goes on behind the scenes, much like the Cowboys, right? But other than different from the Cowboys, Jeremy gets stuff done, and there's proof in the pudding.
And unlike Mike McCarthy, I'm really into analytics, and I watched every play of the Cowboys the year before. You did not. You're a liar. You're doing your due diligence. Mike, no, you're not. Mike McCarthy, you're eating hot dogs somewhere, probably. So, but Shannon, what Jeremy described, I think there's a chance. I think based especially what we're seeing or what we're hearing from a source like Fred Couples, who knows golf and knows what he's talking. When I saw those photos on Sunday and some video of Tiger on the course at Augusta, and I saw those flags on the green, the yellow flags with the Masters logo, and I was just like, oh my God, he's really going to do this. And obviously, we're all hoping, at least Tiger fans are, hoping he's going to perform well and do it in a big way. But, you've got Fred Couples yesterday using the term phenomenal to describe what he saw, how Tiger was performing yesterday on that course in practice. I think we have a chance for, as Jeremy describes, maybe one of the greatest sports comebacks in history. It might be just amazing must-see TV beginning Thursday at the Masters.
Well, and, I'm looking, thinking back, right? Tiger Woods, we just had the weather report. It's not looking great. The last time the weather didn't really look too great at the Masters. It was cloudy most of the days. And then Sunday, there was threat of thunderstorms. So they had to adjust the tee times. That was 2019. when Tiger Woods last won the Masters.
Wow.
All I'm saying
So-
could play into his hand there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my goodness. Now, as you mentioned, we're going to have a Masters draft. Did we do 4? Did we each draft 4, or was it 3 golfers? Which one?
4.
How do we do that? 4. Okay. It'll be you, Jeremy, me, and Andy Everett. And as I recall last year, didn't you win? Shannon, I think you won and therefore humiliated Andy Everett.
I think of the 4 majors, I won 2 of them, and then I think Andy and Tanner may have split the others. So,
and I think
I'm looking
to
to repeat.
Masters. Yeah, I think you won our Masters challenge, which was
nice,
amazing. By the way, and we said this at the top of the show, if you're listening, Pat Schmitz won our bracket challenge with Kansas from the get-go and got the most points, just barely inching out Gail, Jeremy's mom, which is amazing, and Kevin Monk, who was in here earlier on our live video feed. Kevin came in 3rd. So congratulations to the leaders, and certainly Pat Schmitz, the champion of our NCAA men's basketball bracket extravaganza. So very, very cool, Pat. Way to go. We're still, I got to get with the promotions people. We'll get you some kind of prize package, try to make it memorable for you. So coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. We've got sports history, sports birthdays, and more. And joining us just after the top of the hour, broadcaster, basketball savant, and certified yoga instructor, although we might not talk about yoga, or we might. KARL SCHOENING will talk hoops with us and a whole lot more. And I see Gail. There's Gail on our live video feed. Gail just barely nosed out. Gail was almost our champion. Jeremy's mom. Jeremy, does she know hoops, or did she just get lucky here? When do you sit around the house and watch basketball with your mom?
Yes, she actually informs me most of the
Wow.
time. We talk most of the time, and she tells me all, rundown of everything I should know across college basketball.
That is so cool. Congratulations, Gail. Out of 41 entry, and we had even more than that, but some people had filled out their brackets incorrectly. I think out of 41 certified entries, Gail comes in 2nd and darn nearly took the whole thing. And like Jeremy, and like our champion Pat Schmitz, and like Kevin Monk, she from the get-go had Kansas. So any of you who had Kansas to win it all in your bracket from the very beginning, that was a huge pick, and congratulations. Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays are next. You're listening to The Chris Duel Show. Way to go, Gail. Yeah, we're trying to make ganja the prize. We first need the state of Texas to legalize ganja, and then we need a ganja sponsor for the show. We're working on that. Okay, I just learned from Jeremy, Ale, if you're in here, that you've got a conference call at 8:30. We were going to have you, if you wanted to, on the show to congratulate you. But an incredible performance. I was actually going into the weekend. It had your maximum score, and there was a chance that you could have won the whole thing. Still, I was pulling for you to win it, Gail. That was tremendous. So I had no idea. Now I know where Jeremy gets his sports knowledge. Gets it from you, apparently. Congratulations. I got to record some spots. I'm going to try to do that real quick. I'm going to record some spots, just letting you know. I've got to record 3 commercials for R&R Auto Glass. They are tremendous, by the way. Highly recommend them. Great people, reasonable, customer service through the roof. It's where I take my vehicle. They've done great work with me. They're so much better. I don't say this in the commercial, but I've had some really bad experiences before with SafeLight. I'm a USAA member, and they sent me to SafeLight and just had a bad experience. Okay, let me see if I can get this done. Stereo. Check 1 2 1 2. Okay, mic's working. All right, I need 3 30-second spots. Let's see if I have time for this. Chris here for the great people at R&R Auto Glass. It's where I take my vehicle. You should as well. They can replace any piece of glass on your vehicle. They do window regulators, camera calibration, all with a lifetime warranty and customer service through the roof. They've got a mobile service. They can come to you if you need that. UTSA senior and military discount. Speaking of discount, ask about the Duel deal. Save even more money off the already low pricing. All the info at the website, rnrautoglass.com. R&R Auto Glass. I need 2 more. These are 30, so you got to get it right within 30 or close. So here comes another one. Nobody does it better than R&R Auto Glass. It's where I take my vehicle. They can replace any piece of glass on your vehicle. They do window regulators, camera calibration, all with a lifetime warranty and customer service through the roof. They got a mobile service. They can come to you if that's what you need. UTSA senior and military discounts. Speaking of discount, ask about the Duel deal. Save even more money off the already low price. All the info at the website, rnrautoglass.com. R&R Auto Glass. One more. And I do recommend them. They rock. Here's the last one. Get your car right, get it looking right, get it into R&R Auto Glass. They can replace any piece of glass on your vehicle, window regulators, camera calibration, all with a lifetime warranty and customer service through the roof. They've got a mobile service. They can come to you if that's what you need. UTSA senior and military discount. Speaking of discount, ask them about the Duel deal. Save even more money off the already low pricing. All the information is at the website. Check it out, rnrautoglass.com. R&R Auto Glass. Beautiful. All right. Here we go. Gail is not in love with Bill Self. I didn't know that.
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris.
As soon as you are able,
Little sticks. Welcome in. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney on a Taco Tuesday, April 5th, in the aftermath of last night's national championship victory by the Kansas Jayhawks over North Carolina, 72-69. Sorry, Eric Church. Not. Welcome in. KARL SCHOENING going to join us just after 8 o'clock. Lots to talk about. College basketball, NBA, stretch run, Spurs, if it all goes their way tonight, if they beat Denver in Denver, and if the Lakers lose in Phoenix, the Spurs will punch their ticket to the play-in tournament tonight. Could happen. The magic number is 2. So we'll get into that. NFL, Major League Baseball, the Masters, we're all over it in a moment. Shannon's Salty Shakedown. But first, how about some sports birthdays and this day in sports history? Oh, by the way, breaking news. Jeremy's mom, Gail, looks like she can join us in about an hour to talk about her sports prognosticating greatness.
That is breaking news.
I look forward to that. That's exciting.
But we're going to talk about Jeremy instead, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We're going to get the dirt on Jeremy.
Perfect.
We want some things to hold over him and embarrass him live on the radio. It's one thing to be a broadcaster. It's another one to be a broadcaster and your mom calls in. Don't miss that. Less than an hour from now. And Gail's on board with that. Before sports birthdays, here's your sports history. On this day in 1934, baseball superstar Babe Ruth agrees to do 3 15-minute radio broadcasts a week for NBC for a fee of $39,000 for 13 weeks. That was $4,000 more than his New York Yankees annual salary of $35,000 a year. Wow. On this day in 1984, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar breaks Wilt Chamberlain's all-time career scoring record of 31,419 points. Way to go, Kareem. On this day in 1993, 73,293 people saw the New York Yankees beat the Cleveland Indians 9-1 in the season opener at Cleveland Stadium. So they went home sad. On this day in 2021, it was the 82nd NCAA men's basketball final. The Baylor Bears become the second consecutive first-time NCAA champion. They beat Gonzaga 86-70. Gonzaga was previously undefeated. Way to underperform in the tournament again, Gonzaga. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1871, American football coach Pop Warner. The original Pop Warner. How many kids went on to play Pop Warner football? That's pretty cool. Born on this day in 1960, NFL quarterback and father of Andrew Luck, Oliver Luck, who played for the Houston Oilers. Oliver Luck was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Born on this day in 1978, former Spur, played with a lot of teams in the NBA, and part of the Malice in the Palace, Steven Jackson, born on this day in 1978. And then 2 years later on this day, in 1980, in Concord, New Hampshire, a bouncing baby boy who would be known as the Red Rocket and the Red Mamba, Matt Bonner, one of the most beloved Spurs, now on Spurs TV. Happy birthday, Matt Bonner. Those are your sports birthdays. That's your sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, farm animals, pole assassins and monkeys, here it is, your salty shakedown.
All right, we're going to rifle through these first few stories because we've got some breaking Masters news to get to in the final salty shakedown segment today. But first, Mattress Mac. Lately, he's been known to place big bets and then not recoup. He has not done well with the Astros lately, Super Bowls, and pretty much any other giant sporting event that you can think of. He's got that kind of money where you can just throw away millions of dollars. Must be nice. But last night, he won big, Chris, because he did put down a $3.3 million bet for Kansas to win when they were at plus 190. He did that with Caesars, and his return on that was $6.27 million. Now, there's a lot of news on Mattress Mac out there right now, and so I don't have the total calculation because I'm not sure who's including what, but he placed other bets out there. So in total, they're guesstimating he's won about $12 million after last night's game. Not too shabby for Mattress Mac. Now, I think the next thing he's going to bet on, and I'll put money on this bet, that he will bet on the Kentucky Derby, which I believe is May 7th, so about a month out. I don't know that I've ever heard of him betting on the Masters, but it feels like the Kentucky Derby was where he would go next.
Nice. Unless he puts all his money on Tiger. That would be cool.
That's true. He may know something we don't. Or maybe Houston's own Patrick Reed. We'll just have to see. All right. Story number 2 today that I have written down as number 3 because I have 3 twice on my paper. That's just kind of Tuesday it's been for me. Minor league season, as we know, Round Rock Express, they're getting started today. So many other teams as well around the country. And one thing that's always, I think, gone under the radar for those that don't pay too close attention, but that those familiar with baseball and specifically minor league baseball know very well, is the living conditions in which these baseball players live with throughout the season. They do not make a ton of money. And on top of that, in prior years, housing has not been offered to them or afforded to them in a way that makes sense. There's sometimes 2-bedroom apartments with 6-7 guys living in them. A lot of players say, they love spring training because the hotels are provided to them by the organization. And then once the season hits, it is up to them. There were guys living in their cars last year. Well, the Orioles are looking to change that. They took notice, and listen, they're the only team in baseball last season to not go up in their team value. The only team in minor league baseball, and yet they still are looking out for their minor league players. It was tweeted yesterday, a photo of some of the living conditions that a minor leaguer has for both him, his wife, and his dog. His name is Cole Uvila. He said the Orioles absolutely knocked it out of the park with the living situation they provided. Fully furnished studio apartment for my wife and I. That is also pet friendly for our dog. Completely eliminated one of the most stressful parts of breaking camp. Now, when we think of athletes, right, we think of them all being super rich, no matter what level they're on. But these guys, not so much. And so that is a huge stressor. I mean, think about your own situation when you stress about having to move or afford something that is considered a necessity, like a home is. These guys aren't, MLB players. They do not get to come home to a giant mansion, know where they're going to be sleeping. Some guys can't even afford hotel rooms. So for them to have this set up for them and by an organization, again, who did not raise their profits last year, and I'm looking at it now. They've got couches, they've got side tables, they've got TVs, they've got everything they could need for comfortable living and for stress-free living while they focus on their job. That is baseball. Chris, I love this, and I hope more organizations take note here and do the same for their players.
Totally agree. It's the right thing to do. These guys are chasing a dream. It's not easy, and the organizations do have it. A lot of money is being made by these organizations. They have it within their power to do the right thing. These are people, athletes, young athletes, working hard to benefit your organization, and every so often, a few of them break through and do benefit your organization. So do the right thing. Help these guys out.
All right, finally today, the Masters Club dinner takes place tonight, the Champions Dinner, where the current or reigning champion rather, host Andy Everett cued me into that. They actually pay for it as well. I thought that was just something like the Masters or the PGA covered. Hideki Matsuyama, of course, the last champion. He will also have to give a speech, which we've heard he's not super excited about. But nonetheless, the dinner takes place tonight, and the menu has officially been revealed in the last 20 minutes. So I'm going to give you the current Masters Club menu. I'm going to give you my menu, and then we're going to go around the horn and do a menu. So I'm asking for a starter, a main, 2 sides, a dessert, and a drink. It's a feast. It really is. But right now, let's go through Hideki Matsuyama's menu for tonight. Appetizers: assorted sushi, sashimi and nigiri, and yakitori chicken skewers. Guys, I don't do sushi, so I'd just be sticking to the chicken skewers. I'd ask for double of those. Miso glazed black cod in dashi broth, and a special Wagyu A5 Wagyu beef ribeye with mixed mushrooms and vegetables. Sancho Deko ponzu. I just love a good cut of meat, so whatever you put on it, yes, please. I will pick off the mushrooms. That's not happening for me. And then for dessert, Japanese strawberry shortcake, fluffy sponge cake, and whipped cream and amoy strawberries, served in honor of Mr. Hideki Matsuyama. That is the menu that champions of the past will be enjoying this evening. So now I give you mine, Chris. And listen, I just basically went through and picked my favorite things. And I know, that this could be a widely debated topic and we could be here forever. But my choice, we're going to go wings, and I'm going to go with a buffalo dry rub. I'm going to go with a Wagyu brisket burger, special sauce on the side for those who would enjoy that. My sides, I'm going to go tater tots, and I'm going to go mustard potato salad. Okay, we're going hard on the potatoes because I love me some potatoes. Again, I got a dog named Potato. And then for dessert, I'm going very specific here. I'm going cheesecake. Cheesecake Factory's 30th anniversary cheesecake, because it's got that little slice of chocolate cake in there too. And I do get down on some chocolate cake. And then margaritas to drink. I mean, let's just get straight to it. We don't need to be sipping on wine. Just straight to the tequila. That is my master's menu. Chris, I turn it over to you.
My master's menu, not nearly as classy or exotic as yours, Shannon. My starter is chips and salsa fresca from Chewy's. The Chewy's chips are light; they're not heavy chips, and I swear to God, they put crack in that fresca salsa. I can't get enough of it. I'm gonna snort it next time I go to Chewy's. I just love it. My entree, I gotta have the double animal style from In-N-Out Burger. I love you, Whataburger people, but I'm an In-N-Out guy. Give me the double animal style with cheese. My 2 sides, chili cheese fries from Tommy's Hamburgers, the original Tommy's in Los Angeles. Nobody does chili cheese fries better than Tommy's. Another side, I'm from San Antonio. It's Taco Tuesday. These aren't tacos, but give me some nachos. Give me the Mexican flavor. Just pile the nachos. Give me bean and cheese. Give me some guacamole on those nachos. Give me some jalapenos. Dessert, strawberry pie. Kind of like Hideki on this one, but I get my strawberry pie from Jim's Coffee Shop in San Antonio. They've got excellent strawberry pie. And my beverage, I'm trying to count calories, so I'm going to go Tecate Light, because when I'm in Cancun, I guzzle Tecate Lights with a lime in it. I got to have the lime in my Tecate Light. So that is that's my master's menu. Not exactly classy, but it's something I like.
Memorable. That's what we're going for.
There you go.
All right, Jeremy, you're up.
I am keeping it memorable as well, because I would like all the fancy tablecloths to be taken out of the room, and I want them to roll in one of those paper tablecloths that you see down in the coast, down in Corpus and Rockport and whatnot. And then I want them to bring in just a ridiculous amount of crawfish and dump it all onto the table, because I think that would be a tremendous bonding experience and something that nobody would forget. So that's my entree that sets it up. That's my Cajun cuisine entrees, the crawfish. So we're just going to keep it on that theme. With the appetizer, I would have gumbo.
Nice.
And then obviously your crawfish comes with potatoes and corn. And then the dessert, some beignets, and the beverage that would be served is, of course, the New Orleans Hurricane, the cocktail.
My goodness, beignets involved there. Very nice.
Jeremy's getting everybody drunk and making them work for their food too with that crawfish. I know after I shucked 30 pounds worth of crawfish over the weekend, or at least assisted and did my part with the leftovers. Awesome stuff. We'll post our menus as well as the master's menu on the station socials. There it is. Today's Salty Shakedown.
Now, didn't you say earlier, Shannon, and by the way, spectacular Salty Shakedown as always. Didn't you say earlier that when you had the big crawfish event over the weekend, Shannon, that you are not a crawfish fan? Did I hear that?
I don't. Seafood is not my game.
So if you were at Jeremy's Big Masters dinner, you would be none too happy. You'd be a little bit disgruntled.
Yeah, but the crawfish boil that we did, we included sausage, and there was also shrimp. I again don't eat shrimp, but and there was also some chicken thighs. So if there was at least one non-seafood meat in there, I could make do.
Yeah, we'll put some sausage in the gumbo, and then there you
go. I can just double me up on gumbo.
Beignets.
Yeah, when you went for the beignets for the dessert, Jeremy, that was, I mean, obviously the whole thing's got kind of a New Orleans flavor going on, but man, oh man, what is that famous beignets place in New Orleans?
Cafe Du Monde.
That's it.
Never
Cafe
forget it.
Du Monde. I've been there. I didn't remember the name of it, but luckily you're here. So Jeremy, are you okay with your mom coming on the show in the next hour?
Yeah, let's do it. She took me to Cafe Du Monde, so I guess we should.
She knows it. What a mom. She knows sports. She nails her bracket. She takes you to Cafe Du Monde. My goodness. Very, very cool. All right. We got a big hour coming up. We do have KARL Schooening. We will talk all sorts of basketball with KARL, not only last night's national championship game, but we will also get into the NBA. We'll see if KARL is watching Winning Time. Shannon did watch episode 5 and has her review of Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty. We'll get into that. We got to examine that Eagles trade with the New Orleans Saints. And MLB The Show 22 releases today, and Shannon has already downloaded it. That and a big announcement from the Big 3 League. How are we going to get to all this in the next hour? We will find a way. So, Shannon, and once again, I almost screwed up the clock. I almost got us out early. But you have already downloaded MLB The Show 2022. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pre-ordered over the weekend. People actually got to play it starting last Friday if you ordered, I think, the $100 version of the game that comes with extra DLC. But we just got the regular version. So it should have downloaded at midnight last night. And should be ready for me. I'll do that as some show homework, just to scope it out, let you guys know tomorrow how it is or whatever. I'll just prepare, and I'll go win a World Series for the Astros. I'll just do that in one day.
I played it early.
Carlos Correa.
Oh, goodness, Jeremy!
I played it early.
Get out!
Good. It's so good.
Wow,
you're gonna love it.
Okay,
you two are insane. You two are ahead of everybody else. So we'll get into all of this. It's a big jam, action-packed 8 o'clock hour, including Jeremy's mom, the sports prognosticator, who was amazing in the bracket and picked Kansas. Lots more coming up. Sports update at the top of the hour. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Very cool. KARL Schooening going to join us in just a few. Where's my KARL Schooening photo? I got one somewhere. There he is. There's KARL Schooening. All right. I'm going to get some ice for my iced coffee. I'll be right back. I've got ice. Ice for my iced tea. KARL SCHOENING about to join us. I need to edit my R&R auto glass spots. Let's see here. So there's that. Let's see if we get this thing to 30-ish. That's too long. It's close. That'll work. Let's see. This was the 4th. That'll be the 11th.
State Farm has options to get you a surprisingly great rate. Lock on. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Welcome in, Tony. We'll have to ask Karl if he's ever been mistaken for Blake Griffin. It's a good question. All right, if that was the 11th, then this one would be the 13th of April. And one more. Let's see if I have time for this. All right. Jeremy is getting ready to call Mr. KARL SCHOENING. Here we come. Going to mute for a moment for our evil Facebook overlords.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day destroys.
Good morning, Clint Proctor. Welcome in, everybody.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is Taco Tuesday, April 5th, the morning after last night's national championship game, as the Kansas Jayhawks come from behind. In fact, they erased the biggest deficit ever in men's national championship game history. They were down by 16 points late in the first half. They were down by 15 at the half, but erasing that 16-point deficit was a record. It was historic as Kansas defeats North Carolina 72-69. We will not only dive into that and college basketball, but the NBA now in its final days of the regular season. 4 games left for the Spurs with a magic number of 2. Combination Spurs victories and Laker losses, meaning tonight with the Spurs at Denver and the Lakers at Phoenix, if the Spurs win and the Lakers lose tonight, the Spurs will clinch a play-in berth. So we'll talk NBA and national championship and college hoops with our good friend, broadcaster, basketball savant, and certified yoga instructor. Someday we'll talk more yoga with him as well. The one and only KARL Schoening. How are you doing on this Tuesday morning, KARL?
Hey, good morning, Chris. It was a fun night last night. I got to record a podcast with a buddy, and I made sure that we wrapped it up well before the start of tip-off. And it was a fun game. Although I think it was really only a fun game if you watch the entire thing. If you only watch parts, it was pretty one-sided at times.
Well, and at 16 points late in the first half, it sure looked like North Carolina had Kansas's number. Are you surprised they were able to come back from that far back?
It's funny. 15 points at the half. If you watch the G League, 15 points in 2 minutes is an easy comeback, and it happens quite frequently. And in the NBA, it's the same thing. You see 13 points anytime in the early second half, and it's not that big of a deal. But in college, it is, because overall these guys aren't as skilled as the NBA players, and they're not necessarily going to be able to fill it up from 3-point land. So the real reason that Kansas was able to sort of defeat the North Carolina comeback that they started off, because it was a 7-0 start for Kansas, and here we are thinking in the opening moments, man, Kansas might be able to run away with this, and storming back mainly because of offensive rebounds. North Carolina was able to get to the free throw line 16 times in that first half. 16 times is a lot. and I think on the game, let me double check. I have the box score right in front of me. Yeah, on the game, Kansas only got to the free throw line 14 times total. So the fact that North Carolina got to the free throw line 16 times in the first half is a big part of why they were able to build that lead. But also, I think Kansas, after that hot start, just really cooled off. The final 10 minutes, I don't think they had a field goal for a good chunk of like a 5-minute stretch. So, that obviously played a part. But really, the big reason they came back was because they were able to push the pace, and they were able to score effectively enough to sort of create their own run, because when you're down, you've already been run on. So you don't really have anything to lose by generating more possessions and trying to force the pace. And, that's contagious in basketball. If you can really get the pace of the game to where you want it to be, the other team sort of has to play to that pace. And, that's sort of why the G League and the NBA as well have such up-tempo action. They have 24-second shot clocks as opposed to the 30-second shot clock in college. And 6 seconds might not sound like a lot, but in the shot clock realm it is. And if you can just sort of eliminate the need of a shot clock and not have any shot clock violation kind of possessions for either team, then you're going to have an up-and-down game. And I think that's why that was so fun last night, was because both teams had their runs, but then at the very end of the game, it was back and forth. It was close, and it was a great national championship game.
Now, KARL, with Kansas winning, I want you to have your victory lap here, because you called it the Big 12 is the best league in American college basketball. So give us your thoughts on the Big 12 as a total unit for their March Madness campaign this season. And if you think, Baylor won last year, Kansas wins this year, if we've got a team in the Big 12 that could win it all again next year, I know way too early prediction, but I want you to go ahead and give it.
It is way too early, especially with the just general landscape of recruiting. But I do think that a big part of that is some of these schools have sort of rejected the one and done. They wouldn't necessarily turn it down if a guy who's a surefire lottery pick decides to come to their school. But I think there's a certain fallacy there, because a lot of these one and done recruits, while they're very clearly the most talented and skilled players on their team, they just don't have enough actual experience to be the best players on their team. So, it's sort of a catch-22 sometimes. Just because you're the most talented doesn't mean you're the best player. I think a good example of that was somebody like Shabazz Muhammad when he was at UCLA. Here's this guy that I think he entered campus at UCLA projected to be a top 5 pick. He was very clearly the most talented player on his team. And then really, by the time it got to the end of the season, he was maybe the 3rd best player on his team. He was still the only player drafted in the first round that year from UCLA. But, these guys at the one and done level, they don't stick around and actually help your program long term. And I think that that's really where Baylor and Kansas and Villanova have all really found success. Is they found these guys that are upperclassmen. They've established a culture, and thus those upperclassmen can now teach the younger classmen, hey, this is how we do things around here, and you're going to be a part of this program for 3 or 4 years, as opposed to, teams like, just a couple of years ago, Duke had R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish and Zion Williamson all as the major part of their team. And, this year, same thing. Paolo Banchero and A.J. Griffin, those are big players on their team. But you have to rebuild every year when you're dealing with the one and done. I think the Big 12, for the most part, you look at Texas Tech, you look at Baylor, you look at Kansas, not so much Texas, but I think Texas is going to get there with Chris Beard. You're just going to have a whole bunch of well-established teams in that conference, and that's such a big conference that I imagine, at least for basketball, that's going to be a trend that they continue to stay with, especially since the one and done rule is probably going to be eliminated within the next year or two.
He is KARL Schoening. He is our go-to guy on all things hoops. And Karl, Bill Self last night gets his 2nd national championship. He won one in 2008. He adds this one. It's, you get a 2nd one, and that kind of puts you into another stratosphere. We think of recent big-time coaches. Obviously, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K. He was, the big storyline in this tournament. He rides off into the sunset. Roy Williams was a big name not long ago. John Calipari. What does this do for Bill Self? Does this make him, one of the top 3, one of the top 5 coaches in the college game if he wasn't already there?
You certainly have to imagine. Bill Self has a winning percentage of like 81. The guy doesn't lose many basketball games. So he has a lifetime contract at Kansas. There's something about those kind of guys that it shows you how much that Kansas doesn't want to lose Bill Self. And I want to say, and I can't say this for any kind of certainty, but Kansas's domination of the Big 12, I think he has something like 16 Big 12 championships in his coaching career since he started in 2003. And, that's, again, not great at math, but 16 out of 22 championships at the conference level in and of itself is amazing. And, obviously the national success is really what a lot of people look at. But when you really focus at what he does at Kansas and, what the general thought process is for how you approach a realistic, okay, this was a successful season and it doesn't really have anything to do with how deep you go into the NCAA tournament. He is just one of the best coaches in basketball history for, the college game. And, I understand why a lot of Spurs fans, have kind of been saying, oh, he'd be a great replacement for Pop at some point. But if I'm the University of Kansas, I make sure that Bill Self is the mayor when he retires. He doesn't want to leave that city of Lawrence.
Well, Carl, let's get into the Spurs. They play the Denver Nuggets tonight and are looking to clinch a play-in spot for the postseason. And now that college basketball season officially over, we can completely focus our efforts on the NBA. Do you like their chances tonight? And if they don't get it done tonight, do you see them getting it done in the few remaining games they have left?
Oh yeah, I have just been really digging this Spurs team. They had every opportunity to sort of fall into the same trend that broke some fans of Team Tank. They got off to not a great start. I want to say I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. It was something like 3-9, and then they got it to 14-18 before they ended up getting hit with COVID in late December. And then that's a tough stretch because you have guys in and out, and you never know if there were symptoms involved. And then even if there weren't, you got to work yourself back into shape because you've been in quarantine, and just a couple days off can really get you out of NBA shape because those guys are in such tip-top shape. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, their record was something like 5-15. So, you look at those two chunks of the season, and I know you can't eliminate those two chunks, but that's about half the year where you talk about, okay, the very beginning, they're trying to figure out who they are, a whole bunch of guys stepping into new roles. And obviously there's just going to be some growing pains there. And then you talk about the COVID situation, which is just out of anybody's hands. And, not every team is going to do well during those times. Usually the cards are stacked against you, and sometimes you got to reschedule games or you got to play games so shorthanded that luckily it's not the same situation as last year where the Spurs didn't really have a day to practice for the final half of the season after a COVID break. But the Spurs have been a winning team since they entered the rodeo road trip, something like 20-35. And that's really impressive that they've been able to, just kind of really come together and win games because they've had a really great point differential all year. They've been in almost every game. Very few times has this team kind of been blown out definitively. There are so many games where if you look back, I want to say, I counted 12 games that the Spurs lost by 5 or less the other day. And you never know. Those are coin tosses. That includes the stretches I was talking about where if maybe the ball bounces the other way or there's not an injury or just a little bit of experience that they're getting this year in their new roles. Next year, maybe they win those games. So I'm really excited about this young core for the Spurs. And 3 first-round picks and the Lakers' second-round pick doesn't hurt at all when you're talking about adding to this young core. They entered the offseason last year with the youngest roster in the NBA, and they're fighting for a play-in spot right now. So, I think that that's really a good step in the right direction. You have to love the way Lonnie Walker's been playing since February. Keldon Johnson's really coming into his own recently. DeJounte, he's an all-star. What else can you really say about DeJounte? He's a triple-double machine.
Yeah.
Devin Vassell's great. So, I could go through the whole roster of how many guys made a step in the right direction. And, if you're a Spurs fan, pull for the playoffs. I know that a lot of Spurs fans are still thinking like, okay, you can make the play in, but don't make the playoffs so we can still get a lottery pick or something like that. But I think even though it's a tough battle against the best team in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns, there's just something about getting that playoff experience, especially with a guy like Greg Popovich as your coach, as to how you approach a playoff series. And for these young guys, that would be great if they could win the play-in tournament. And then even if it's just 4 or 5 games, go up against the Phoenix Suns and get a taste of what the playoffs are like.
Yeah, as we talk hoops with KARL Schoening, Carl, you just look at the structure of the play-in tournament, and as Shannon mentioned, the Spurs can grab that number 10 slot, and it looks likely, even if the Spurs didn't win another game, the Lakers would have to win 3 of their final 4. And I think I heard the Lakers haven't won back-to-back games since like January or February. So it looks like almost a lock. The Spurs will get the 10 slot. They're just a game behind New Orleans with 4 to play. And if they got the 9 slot, they would have a home game against the Pelicans in the play-in tournament. And then 7 and 8 play each other. And that looks like it's going to be Timberwolves versus Clippers. And the loser of 7 and 8 would take on the winner of 9 and 10. And Karl, I don't think it's outlandish to think that the Spurs could beat the Pelicans in the first play-in game and then maybe play the Clippers in the second one and win that one. I don't, the way they're playing now, the Spurs have won 6 of their last 7 of their last 9. They're kind of on a roll. If they get DeJounte Murray back, who's been out for a few games, if they're at full strength, I think they could make some noise in the play-in tournament.
I'm right there with you, Chris, because being as healthy as possible going into the play-in tournament would be great. I don't know what the situation might be for Doug McDermott in terms of, his return to play, as he's been ruled out for pretty much the rest of the season. But, that doesn't count postseason. So it would be interesting to see if maybe Doug McDermott might be available for one of those games. He would be a good player to, bring off of the bench as he's trying to get back into a rhythm, but certainly, one of the veterans on this team that, you get him for these kind of playoff moments to be sort of that chess piece that can be a scorer all over the court. And, one of the things that we've been focusing on is the Lakers, obviously, but the Spurs have the tiebreaker with the Pelicans. So if they can be the, same tie or same record as New Orleans when we get into the play-in tournament, the Spurs will host that first game. So that sort of, I know everybody's standing watching right now. I'm going to check the Pelicans schedule right now. They have Sacramento, Portland, Memphis, and Golden State left. And, Memphis, I don't think that they'll be playing for anything, but Golden State has to, keep pushing away against Dallas so they don't have to play Phoenix in the second round. So I wouldn't be surprised if that Golden State game means something. But yeah, if the Spurs can stay on a roll and just really focus on themselves and make the play-in tournament, it doesn't matter where they're going to be playing. They're going to have to win at least one road game, if not 2, to make the playoffs. And, that 7-8 matchup, if Paul George weren't playing, I would probably give it to Minnesota. But I get the feeling with Paul George, the Clippers will be able to win that game, claim the 7th seed. And then obviously it took a 60-point performance from Karl Anthony Towns for the Timberwolves to beat the Spurs last time they played. So you hope that doesn't repeat itself. But that's obviously going to be a factor for the Spurs to, look back at that tape and say, okay, here's what was successful. How do we stop Karl Anthony Towns? And, maybe that's how they make the playoffs. And I think that would just be great considering some of the adversity that they've had to face this year. And, I think just in their first year as a team together, the Spurs making the playoffs, that they've done a good job to position themselves to, at least win this play-in tournament.
Over in the East, the Nets currently sit at the number 10 spot, and Kevin Durant saying, his injury played a huge role into the lack of success that team has seen this season. Do you think this experiment, now that James Harden has moved on to the 76ers, that the experiment with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the Nets as a powerhouse over in the East, do you think that's coming to an end here?
It's a weird thing because Ben Simmons obviously is sort of a missing piece that would actually fit really well with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And it doesn't seem like we're going to see it this year. It doesn't make much sense to just kind of throw Ben Simmons into the fire. Who knows what kind of shape he's in, where he really is in terms of focus and knowing his teammates. But Ben Simmons is the best defender on that team, and he might be the best playmaker in terms of passing, not necessarily, playmaker in terms of scoring. And I think that there's something right there where you talk about if you have him in sort of a Draymond Green role, playing the high post and working off of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, that's a team that it doesn't matter where they're seated in the playoffs, they're probably going to win. But you can't just say it's not 2K. You know what I mean? You can't just say, oh, this is my squad, I'm going to go run them out there and we're going to be good. It's real life. Team chemistry is a real thing. And, as much as I hate kind of betting against Kevin Durant, and I'm sure the Nets would never, move on from Kevin Durant. Yeah, it might be a situation where they try and see what they can get for Kyrie Irving in New York. because you never know when mandates are going to come back. And that seems like it's going to be an ongoing issue. And then on top of that, there seems to be something there that forced James Harden out. And you know how hard they work to get James Harden in. So whatever the team chemistry issues are with the Nets, they're going to have to address them, because they're obviously so far from expectations that you can't really blame Kevin Durant's injury. I think you can kind of blame the just general, I don't know, maybe it's overconfidence. Maybe that comes down to coaching with Steve Nash, but this is a failure of a season for Brooklyn almost any way you slice it. And it's just been a weird one at that. And, when your best player is in a state that requires the vaccine and he refuses to get the vaccine, and, he ends up missing so many home games, those are games where you're counting on him to really help you in the standings. And maybe they run it back one more time, Shannon, with, Ben Simmons. I could see that being the case. But I also do think that there's some kind of chance within New York that, if nothing else, they try to get draft capital for Kyrie Irving or test the waters, because I don't think you can move on from Kevin Durant. And you probably don't have any real trade market for Ben Simmons at this point either.
KARL Schoening is a great follow on Twitter at KSmedia13. KARL, always outstanding insights, college and pro basketball. We got to do this again as the NBA, we get closer and closer to the NBA playoffs. We look forward to talking with you again real soon. Thanks for taking the time.
Hey, appreciate y'all. I'll talk to y'all a little later.
Absolutely. KARL Schoening. And coming up, one of the greatest prognosticators in our bracket challenge. She just happens to be the mom of Jeremy Kolok. Gail's going to join us. Came in second out of 41, just mere minuscule points away from winning the whole darn thing. And like Jeremy, she picked Kansas to win it all. We'll talk about basketball, and we'll talk about Jeremy with Gail coming up on the Chris Duel Show. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to cover between now and 9. Thanks for hanging out with us. KARL Schoening with us. He was tremendous, as always.
And now a message from Pups Cushions. It's that time of year when spring's in full swing. Explosions of light make can be a moment of dread as organ-related tissues make noses angry and red. So keep puffs by your side to soften all your blows. They're magic. They'll cushion your nose. Especially during allergy season, a nose in need deserves puffs in the ear.
Let me see here if I can find. Axel J. Miller, welcome in. I saw you here, but I didn't get a chance to say hi yet. Well, look at that. I'm going to see the Suns play in Phoenix on my birthday, Sunday, April 10th. Wow. That is huge. Good for you, man. So you're going from Denver to Phoenix for your birthday. Is that Nuggets, Suns? I don't know. Jeremy telling me, and we'll bring this up with his mom, Gail, Mike Gundy was the quarterback and Barry Sanders was the running back at Oklahoma State when she was there as a student. And Garth Brooks was there. That's crazy. Crazy information. By the way, we do have photos of Jeremy's mom there. Just stole that off of Facebook. And the two of them together doing sports. All right, here we go. Thank you, sir.
Back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney.
There you go. Little Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Welcome in. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. And we now have a national champion. It is the Kansas Jayhawks. And if you've been listening to the show, we had our very own bracket challenge, and it went down to the wire. And there were actually three very, very close to winning the whole thing. The ultimate winner, and a congratulations to Pat Schmitz. But coming in second, and very, very close. And in fact, going into the weekend, she had a chance to win the whole darn thing. And that would be Jeremy's mom, Gail Millard, who is on the line right now. Gail, welcome in. How are you on this Tuesday morning?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat to be on with you guys. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Shannon,
you.
And my husband, my son's work family.
Yes. Well, and you've been so cool. I've seen you many, many times commenting on the live video feed, and we're thrilled that you participate with us there. And I didn't know that much about you. I did know that you're a veterinarian, which I think is amazing. I love that you dedicate your life to helping animals feel better and get healthy, and you take care of them. I think that's a calling that is just so wonderful. But, and when I saw that you joined our bracket, I thought, well, Jeremy's mom, that's nice. But I had no idea that you knew exactly what you were doing, and that you would, of 41 people, you would beat 40 of them and come in second. Are you a hardcore sports fan?
Well, so we've always been a sports family. I love the emotion, the stories, the people stories about sports. I'm certainly not an expert, but I just enjoy it tremendously. I got to say, I don't know how much of these accolades I deserve, because I'm kind of trying to go back and think about how I did this so I can recreate it next year. I'm not saying, I know Shannon talked about how sometimes people pick because they like the mascots or the colors. And I always try to be thoughtful. I'm kind of paying attention, although as an Oklahoma State alum, I'm a Big 12 girl, but you kind of pay attention to the SEC. My husband went to UCF, so that's a conference I have to kind of pay attention to. So I was thoughtful about my choices, but I didn't really spend a lot of time. I made my choices pretty quickly, kind of like they say when you take an exam that, you should go with your first instincts. That's kind of what I did. And I got to figure out how to do that again. I, had no idea I would do this well. It's cool.
So Miss Jeremy's mom,
like I was saying in the chat, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to ask if you and Jeremy had a side bet going, and since you did defeat him, what he may have to do for you now.
You know, I hadn't even thought of that. I'll have to give that some thought, Shannon. To be honest, and I'm sorry, Jeremy, but as we were watching this through the whole thing, I was kind of feeling bad for him because you and Chris were both ahead of him, and he was kind of lagging behind down there. And I didn't say anything because, you know, he's the sports guy, and that kind of looks bad if your mom's beating you. So I don't know. Maybe I should kind of play that card.
Jeremy, would you like to respond to your mom's her benevolence in not mocking you for your rather? It's amazing because you were down there in the standings, Jeremy, but you also had Kansas. You were to be congratulated like your mom. You knew Kansas was going to win the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I know my place in these standings, and that's all right. It wasn't my year particularly, and we started out bad, like y'all both mentioned, but it's my mom's year. I get that. I understand.
Now, Gail, Jeremy told us just from a sports perspective, some information that is mind-blowing to me. He says that when you were a student at Oklahoma State, the quarterback of the football team was Mike Gundy, and they had a running back named Barry Sanders. I think he was pretty good as well. My goodness, to have been there in what has got to be one of the heydays of Oklahoma State Cowboy football. That must have been a fun time to be on campus.
It was beyond awesome. It was amazing. Yes. So, you know, I've always said that, you know, whenever you have an allegiance to a school, and I know Shannon has her red blood cells are not red, they're burnt orange. Mine are orange, but it's a brighter orange, a little different orange than that. And when you have a kid, I mean, I've been kind of bathing him in orange and black since literally the day I pushed him out. But you always worry that you're going to oversell it, right? You know, that they're going to sit at your table as a senior in high school and say, yeah, I'm going, you know, OU. Oh, God forbid, that would have been the worst. And when they actually commit, you just feel like you've done it right. You know, I remember a classmate of mine saying that he when his daughter committed to Oklahoma State, he wanted to like do cartwheels in the living room, but you don't want to overreact because you don't want to mess it up. But I got to say, having Jeremy up there for his 4 years was almost more fun than the 8 that I spent there, including vet school. So it's been fun.
Now, Miss Gail, I'm curious if you're like my mother, and that we obviously see you on the live video feed, but my mom listens to the show and will text me if I talk about her to either dispute or say something. Do you ever fear when Jeremy turns his mic on that he may let out some family secrets, and do you give him tidbits to throw in throughout the show?
I do not, and part of that may just relate to technology, that I'm not sure I'm very good at texting and commenting to you guys in the Facebook feed at the same time. That's a little difficult for my aging brain. But I do have a couple of stories I just kind of wanted to share. We were living in Memphis from the time that Jeremy was a year old until he was about 7. And then we moved to Texas when he was 7. And one thing that was kind of cool is that we moved to Memphis the same year the Grizzlies moved to Memphis and became the Memphis Grizzlies. So we were, of course, Memphis Grizzlies fans, right? And at the time they were playing at the Pyramid, and Jeremy's dad was working for the downtown Marriott, and their sales office had tickets that they would use with customers. So if nobody was using the tickets, we would get to go to the games, and the seats were probably, I'm going to say 7 or 8 rows up in the corner. I mean, they were amazing seats, right? And the first story is that Jeremy, of course, had really connected to basketball. I tend to be more of a baseball person. I just love baseball, and we could talk about his experience with baseball sometime. But he just, from the time he was like 4, he wanted to go to baseball camp or basketball camp, and I was like, honey, you have to be 5. I'm sorry, they don't take 4-year-olds. But finally, when he was 5, he got to go to basketball camp, and he had his picture taken with Pau Gasol, and had his picture taken with what's the coach's name? It just left me.
Hubie Brown.
Hubie Brown.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, legend Hubie Brown.
He was a huge Hubie Brown fan, and if you can imagine a 6-year-old coming home from school and changing from his school clothes into a suit and tie, and then yelling at imaginary players, pretending to be a 2-foot Hubie Brown, it was
That's
awesome.
Great.
And then there was actually, Hubie was old then. I mean, the man's amazing. He's going to outlive all of us probably. But I remember there was one night, and I think it was like over a holiday weekend, because it seems like a lot of family was around, and Hubie made the decision to retire from coaching. And Jeremy had already gone to bed. And I was like, oh my gosh, Jeremy's going to be devastated. I don't know how I'm going to break this to him. So I went up to his room, and he wasn't asleep yet. And so I said to him, honey, I'd have some bad news for you. I said, Hubie Brown just announced that he retired. And he looks at me totally deadpan, and he says, Mommy just retired. He's not dead. And I was just like, well, there's a perspective from a 6-year-old. And that's just kind of been the way he has always been. That his mom tends to be pretty emotional and dramatic, and he's the calm port in the storm kind of guy. So
he is very Zen-like. I mean, the job he does, I could never do the job he does on this show, Gail. He's like in charge of every sound. He's got his soundboard has like a million buttons and levers, and there's always a million moving parts to commercials and show elements. And he's always very, very cool, calm, and collected. He must have been brought up well.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know how much credit I deserve of that. But one more little Memphis Grizzlies story. So we have these seats that are fabulous seats, and then his dad changes jobs, and we lose our access to these amazing seats. And then the Grizzlies move into AT&T or FedEx Forum, and that's a huge big deal when we're living in Memphis. And so our neighborhood kind of gets together and buys season tickets. And so we took turns using those tickets. Well, now, because we're not getting free tickets and we're paying for them, they're up in the nosebleeds. I mean, they're like 3 rows from the top, right? And the first time we go to a game, I'm worried that Jeremy's going to be really disappointed, right? But we walk into our row and we sit down and we look at the microscopic players down on the court. And he turns to his parents and he goes, "These are great seats." And we're like, "What?" And he says, "I can see the whole court." And what we didn't realize is that when we were down on the floor, he could never see because he was a little kid and everybody was standing up around him. Finally, we're in the rafters. The kid can see the whole court. So again, perspective.
There you go. There you go. Well, Gail Millard, I love that you came on. We just got a comment on the live video feed. Nick Gonzalez says, y'all might have to make her a permanent part of the show. She's excellent, and you are. And
awesome. Thank you so much.
It's just, I mean, I love your stories. We didn't even have to pull them out of you. I was going to try to pull some Jeremy stories out of you, and you brought them. You were ready to go. That's tremendous.
Well, thanks. And I don't know. I mentioned on the feed once that I've had radio shows related to pets.
Yeah.
Kind of a play on Howard Cosell. I had a Dr. Gail Speaking of Pets show in 2 different cities. And then Jeremy's grandfather did radio when he was in college. So I think it's in his DNA.
There you go. And we love having him on. And we always, when I learned he was an Elvis fan like 2 weeks ago, we keep learning more things about Jeremy. And it's always more exciting layers of Jeremy that we're always learning. So we love him.
More stories.
Say again?
Next time you need somebody, I'll try to think of some more stories. Next time you need somebody, give me a call.
We will definitely do it again. And Gail, we are so amazed by your amazing bracket. And I love our winner who is named Pat Schmitz, but I was kind of pulling for you in the stretch run. I saw you were close, and I kind of wanted you to win the whole thing.
Well, thanks so much. It was fun.
All right. Gail Millard, a veterinarian, but more importantly, mom of Jeremy Kolok. Gail, great phone call, great stuff. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
You bet.
Very nice. Jeremy, what do you have to say for yourself? I don't think she embarrassed you as moms can on the radio if she would have wanted to.
No, I never said I was worried. Maybe I showed some concern over here in my control room booth on my face, maybe just a little, but I was never worried. I thought she would do well.
I had no idea you guys were so locked in on the Memphis Grizzlies back when you were in Memphis. And that you were a Hubie Brown fan.
Just like San Antonio here with the Spurs, Memphis only has the Grizzlies. So they're very protective of them. They love them very much.
I used to see Hubie Brown in the Hemisphere Arena coaching the Kentucky Colonels back in the ABA. Hubie Brown, his time, season 1 in San Antonio, he was an opposing coach of the Spurs. So he goes way, way back. So our thanks to Gail, our thanks to KARL Schoening. Shannon Salty Sweeney, you are off to play some video game before your big Round Rock Express experience tonight.
For work.
Very nice.
For reporting back.
Maybe, and we didn't get your review of Winning Time, but I will watch it today. So we'll both, and maybe even Jeremy, react to Winning Time, the rise of the Laker dynasty tomorrow on the show.
Cool.
Very cool. Jeremy, great job. Thanks to your mom as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Shout out to Gail.
And shout out to Gail, and congratulations to you and Gail and Kevin Monk and our champion, Pat Schmitz, on picking the Kansas Jayhawks. Enjoy your Taco Tuesday. We will see you in 21 hours, and maybe at that time, the Spurs will have clinched a play-in berth. We'll find out. Have a great Tuesday. Adios, amigos. Gail getting a lot of props. Very, very nice. Gail, if you're in here, great job. Thank you. Everybody else, we will see you tomorrow. I'll see you Spurs React tonight after the game. I'll see you on that Spurs broadcast with Bill Schoening. Till next time, go Spurs, go. Adios, amigos.